Hello and welcome to part 3 of our Time Capsule Education's lockdown story writing project. Now, if you've already watched writing tips 1 and 2 and the first 2 videos in this lockdown series, you're probably thinking, now we really ought to get on with writing the story, which is what I'm planning to do today. So here's how we're going to do it. So by now you should hopefully have either picked characters from our character cards that we've already created, or created your own characters having done some research about animals that live in Britain. Now we need to take them on an adventure. Our adventure starts in that village, Flot, in the marsh. But we need a story to write. What we're trying to achieve with this story is a series of linked episodes, which means you can write in greater depth and detail about each part of the story. We're not rushing our story off in one go. We're going to write different bits as we go. So we need different episodes, and the episodes are going to give us a chance to write action and dialogue, characters, descriptions of settings, and mix those all together. First thing, of course, though, is we need background to the story. We need to know what our story is about. So this is the prologue. Lockdown Fantasy Quest. We're actually going to need a better name for this story, but I'm going to leave that up to you guys as you go along, or maybe come up with a title at the end. Right, the prologue. A mysterious pestilence has swept the land. Beasts of all kinds are falling ill with no explanation. It lays low all before it, no matter if they are high-born or peasant. You have so far remained unaffected, and the elders of your village have asked you and your companions to leave the village and seek a cure. After several days of travel, you found yourself in the marsh village of Bimfliot. It didn't look like you would find a cure here either, but you headed to the Red Barrel Tavern. If nothing else, it was somewhere to shelter from the fog and the cold of the night. In the Red Barrel, Watney, the mole who owns the tavern, suggested you head out into the marsh and find the priestess of the Green Mother, Eostra. She is usually the person the folk hereabouts look to when they get ill. If anyone knows how to deal with this illness, it will be her. So you must find your way into the marsh, find the shrine, and ask the priestess for her help. Before we start writing, we've got a bunch of decisions we have to make. First of all, our characters, your characters, are in the village. They have to go further, deeper into the marsh, and they don't know where to go. So what are they going to do? Well, maybe they might find themselves a local guide. You might go and find this guy, Fiskar McCoot, the beaver lumberjack. He knows the area really well. If you haven't chosen to use Pebbles, one of the possible characters for the story, he also comes from around here. He might know the marshes really well too. He's an otter. Fiskar's a beaver. They're both really quite good in water. And the marsh, the salt marsh, there's a lot of water about. You might find a raft and go paddling out into the water as well. Any of those are possibilities. You choose which. We need to think about where this episode is taking place. Your characters have got to go deep into the marsh. Marshes are very dangerous places. When the tide is up, the water moves very quickly. If your characters aren't very good swimmers, that could cause problems. If your characters are good swimmers but they've got lots of kit, that could also cause problems. If they're on a raft, that's going to have some difficulties. You need to think about paddling along and slipping and sliding. If the tide's dropping or is low down, as you can see from the pictures that we're looking at, there's lots and lots of very thick, heavy, gloopy mud that you might end up sinking into or finding it really difficult to get through. You might want to think about the weather. If it's pouring down with rain, that's very difficult too. Writing about the weather is a good way to help set your episode. It's a good way of adding some extra description. If you look at these pictures of the marsh in the fog, that makes it very hard to see where you're going. All sorts of nastiness might happen just a few meters away from where you are, because you can't tell what's going to come out of the fog at all. We then need to think about the final place where we're going to meet Eostra. We have to meet Eostra in a temple, a sacred place for the people who follow the Green Mother. We'll have a look at that now, shall we?
your characters must wade or paddle through the marsh on a boat or raft through the mist, trying to find the shrine. Try and think about how scared and disorientated they might be as they travel through the mist, not knowing what's in store for them as they travel deeper and deeper into the marsh. In the deepest part of the marsh, you find a small and ancient shrine dedicated to the Green Mother. The shrine appears in the mist, and at the shrine is the priestess, an old hare, Eostra. She might be reluctant to help to start. She might not want beasts from another part of the country who have come from somewhere where there is a pestilence to be in her part of the marsh, but she agrees to help. There must be some dialogue. Your characters either have to beg with her or persuade her to help you. How they do that is up to you. Eventually, Eostra tells your characters they must travel to the great city of Lunden and find the sacred grove to the Green Mother in the city and another priestess named Lutra. She will be able to help.
Right, let's recap then. The first episode of the story starts at the Red Barrel Tavern. You have to decide if you're going to find somebody to help you, like the beaver lumberjack who knows the marsh really well, or if you're going to find a raft or a rowing boat that you can take out yourself. You have to go deeper and deeper into the marsh. It might be raining, but I reckon we can make it far more suspenseful if we make it foggy or misty. Paddling through the fog could be quite a scary thing to do and gives you lots of opportunity to try out some suspense writing. Eventually, after you've paddled, waded and splashed your way through the salt marsh, you find the shrine deep in the fog. And at the shrine, here it is, mostly a tumble down ruin now, on an island in the middle of the marsh, you find Eostra, the priestess. She isn't necessarily going to give you help straight away. She has to be persuaded, or your characters have to beg. But eventually, she suggests you travel to the great city of Lunden. You must find the shrine, the holy grove to the Green Mother in the city, and another priestess, an otter called Lutra. She will be able to help. So that's all that we need for our first episode for this story. That's quite a lot to be thinking about. This is only the first bit. You don't have to worry about what happens afterwards. We're just focusing on this first chapter of the story. We haven't discussed whether you are going to write in the first person or the third person, whether you are going to be one of the characters or you're going to write about the characters. I don't mind which you do, but make sure that you only do one or the other. The next episode will set on the road to Lunden and we'll meet a new bunch of characters and have some different kinds of action. So enjoy your writing and I'll see you next time back here on Story Chest. Thanks for watching.